Part 1. Roots. When I would go out in public with my mom as a child, I'd sometimes get strange comments from strangers, chief among them being, "Can I have some of your hair?" Not only is that just like a weird thing to say, period, but it's an especially weird thing to say to someone's child who you do not know. But I got it a lot, usually followed by said stranger bending down and reaching out to stroke one of my plaits. Some of the strangers were just people my mom knew, whose acquaintance I didn't have the chance to make in my 7 years of living, but still, it's weird. As a pretty literal kid, that request made no sense to me. Even if you were to cut my hair off and give it to you, stranger, it would still be my hair. Yours wouldn't magically become long. Why would somebody want to put someone else's hair in their head anyway? Growing up, I would have a lot of people, strangers, people my mom knew, all of them black women, oohing and awing over, as they would put it, my head full of hair. However, despite me coming to you in my natural state these days, my hair was always straightened as a kid, and the straightness and length of my hair was what elicited adoration from these grown women, though at the time I didn't really understand it. It was just hair. Everyone had it, unless you were bald. And yes, some bald men did ask me for my hair on a few occasions, though I usually found it funny in those cases. The process of getting my hair to the state worthy of adoration was less than funny. I'm going to diverge a little here to talk about John Oliver, specifically his segment on Last Week Tonight where he talks about hair, black women's hair. You could really tell he pulled every last black woman writer out of storage for that one because although the piece was being delivered to me by a white British man, in those 24 minutes, I felt seen, and that was nice. In this segment, there is a bit about hot combs.
And I know, for some viewers, passing a hot metal comb through the hair to straighten it might look like a curio from the distant past, but I guarantee some of you were just transported back to being 8 years old, sitting on a high stool in the kitchen at 6 a.m. on school picture day, holding your ears down while your mum or grandma gets the hot comb uncomfortably close to your scalp. For some, the smell of burning hair is a sign that something's wrong, but for others, it brings back memories.
And yeah, it did. While I usually sat on the floor of my bedroom or den instead of on a stool in the kitchen, getting my hair straightened by my mom with the medieval torture device known as the hot comb was kind of unpleasant. Everything from the sizzling sounds, the grease my mom used, that god-awful sulfur 8 that smelled like toxic waste, to, worst of all, getting burned constantly because my mom only kind of knew what she was doing. All for straight hair that would last a week tops because running around and playing, as kids are wont to do, is not conducive to a long-lasting hairstyle. One of my earliest memories is my grandmother, my mom's mom, dying. Yes, this is relevant. I couldn't have been older than 4 at this point. I bring this up because one morning, not long after my grandmother either getting sick or being laid to rest, my mom is doing my hair before school and she runs a comb through my hair and a chunk of it comes out. And my mom proceeds to lose it. Not only did she just lose her mom, but now her daughter's beautiful hair was falling out. I've only ever heard retellings of this since I don't actually remember it happening, but by all accounts, my mom seemed to be inconsolable. Clearly, I don't have alopecia or anything, and I think it just turned out to be ringworm of the scalp, which causes chunks of hair to fall out. I was either in daycare or pre-K at this time, and as we know, children are nasty germ machines. The ringworm cleared up and my hair grew back. I bring this up because, to me, I think this vignette would really set the tone for my mother's relationship with my hair. It needed to stay pristine, long, perfect, straight. My mom's never had long hair or a quote-unquote good hair texture like I apparently do, and I would later come to realize that she might have been living vicariously through my tresses. Part 2. Shaft. In my pre-adolescence and teenhood, I was going through some changes. I made quite a few videos on this channel that span that particular time in my life, and I've talked about it a bit on my podcast, which, although it has sailed into the sunset, you should be listening to. But a lot of it boils down to me transitioning from a mixed-race elementary school to all-black middle and high schools. Prior to me going to these all-black schools, I never really got any comments on my hair aside from the older black teachers and staff and their usual adoration. Now, though, it was constant, and from people my age. Anytime I would meet a new person at school, I would be faced with one of 3 questions, or sometimes all 3. Is that your hair? Are you mixed? And why do you talk like a white person? To which my answers would be yes, no, and silence, because how do you even answer something like that? Sidebar, because of the barrage of those questions, I somewhat embarrassingly began to privately identify with the plight of biracial and mixed race people because apparently everyone thought I was immediately upon seeing me anyway. To be abundantly clear, I don't anymore, but I did, which was kind of cringe. One thing I want to make clear here is that I don't want to make it seem like my time was just so hard because my mom forced me to adhere to Eurocentric beauty standards so well that people actually thought I was halfsies. I'm fully aware that I did and probably still do benefit from hair texture and light skin privilege. It's just that I didn't really want it. I just wanted to be treated like everyone else, a black person. Instead, because of things I can't control now and could not control at the time, I was treated as an other. And that does a number on your self-image at the tender age of 12. So not only did I form a complicated relationship with my blackness at the time, I also formed a complicated relationship with my hair. Something that a lot of black people, women especially, can say is that growing up we weren't really taught how to take care of our hair. Something that is sort of embarrassing to admit, maybe more for my mom than me, was that I never actually washed my own hair until my last year of high school. That was 7 years ago, and I did it as an act of rebellion. Up until that point, someone else washed my hair, either my mom or the lady that did my braids in the summer when I was younger, or the hairstylist my mom pawned me off to when I was in the 6th grade because doing my hair got to be too much for her. Before the big age of 15 or 16, I literally never washed my own hair. However, by that time, college was around the corner. I wouldn't be in my hometown where the only two people I trust with my hair care resided. My mom always urged me to find a new stylist in my college town, but I didn't want to. I figured that most people, race and hair texture notwithstanding, did their own hair, and it was high time I figured out how to do so myself. Besides, hairstylists cost money that I didn't want to be spending if I didn't have to, despite my mom saying she would pay for it. Part 3. Tip. So, I learned how to do my own hair, mostly out of spite. I still straightened it, and still occasionally went to the hairstylist because I had dyed hair at the time. It turns out, washing your hair isn't hard. My mom made a whole to-do about it because apparently one time she washed her hair and didn't rinse the shampoo all the way out, and it fell out. Which, okay, I don't really know what that has to do with me. I'm very happy to report that in the 7 or so years that I've been washing my hair, I haven't gone bald. So it all worked out. Eventually, I went to college and began doing my own hair full-time, never once visiting a stylist, again, out of spite. I'm not a super adventurous person when it comes to my appearance. I'm basically a cartoon character wearing the same hairstyle and clothes most days. I mean, in how many videos am I wearing that purple sweatshirt? So, I cycled through the same few exciting hairstyles of low bun, twin braids, and low ponytail. Very rarely did I wear my hair down. Something that delighted me when I was finally in college is that nobody asked me those dreaded 3 questions. No one. It was amazing, liberating even. The closest I ever got was one black girl commenting as I passed by, "Ooh, that girl got a lot of hair." 3.5 years and that was it. Finally, freedom. Still, I was kind of unhappy with my hair. I never liked the way straight hair looked on me. I have always had a round face, and bone straight hair really accentuated the roundness. Hence why I always wore my hair up and out of my face. After a while, I just didn't know what to do with it. I did have some trials with going natural, but I had no idea what I was doing or how to take care of natural hair. Remember, nobody had taught me how to actually take care of my hair aside from combing it every day, which is not something you can do with a hair texture above a 2. So I probably looked kind of crazy for a while. By the way, when I say natural, I just mean not straight. My hair was never chemically treated since my mom never let me get perms, the one good decision she made as regards my hair. By my final year of college, I got even lazier with my hair, not even bothering to use a flat iron anymore, instead opting for one of those brush blow dryers. Over time, I just became more and more unhappy with my hair. I didn't like the way it looked and made no effort to really style it. I wore a low bun basically every day. I was unhappy with my appearance, but by then there were, let's say, more pressing things to worry about. Those pressing things being not getting COVID, by the way. Part 4. Scissors. Once I graduated college and began my very long unemployment era, I decided it was time to be a little more adventurous with my hair. I wanted to wear twists. You can actually pinpoint when this happens on my channel. My video about Lily Jean was my second attempt at putting my hair in twists. Something wasn't quite right though, and you can tell. I didn't wash my hair before trying this, so it was still straight. Instead of my hair being thick and bouncy like the women whose tutorials I was watching to achieve this look, my twists were thin and limp. It was then that I realized something. My hair was damaged. Okay, it wasn't in that particular moment that I realized that. I had long suspected that my hair was heat damaged because when I'd wash my hair, instead of all of it being curly like it should, there were sections where it was just permanently straight. Which isn't normal, as it turns out. I actually have a picture from college when my hair is all blown out from washing it, and yeah, you could even tell there. Not only was it heat damage, but my ends were more split than East and West Germany before 1990, and having it be bleached and dyed a few times probably didn't help. You like that history reference, kids? Is that fun for you? Did you enjoy that? So, I made a decision. It was time for it to go. For a while, I had semi-jokingly remarked that I wanted to buzz all my hair off because I was so frustrated with it in its current state, much to my mom's chagrin. But once I told her that my hair was quite damaged, she begrudgingly agreed that it needed to be cut. So, one day in February of 2021, I went to our stylist, sat in the chair, and had about half of my hair cut off. All the split ends, heat damage, color damage, gone. All while my mom watched in horror as my once long tresses fell to the salon floor and were swept up and thrown away. Our stylist gave me some gel to use to activate my curls, suggestions for products to use, and we went on our way. That was actually the last time I've been there, and I never looked back. You can also pinpoint when this happened on my channel. My video about the, at the time, just announced Luckiest Girl Alive movie is my first with my natural hair. It's been 2 years now, and I have not straightened or even blow-dried my hair since then. I cut my hair once since then, which again, you can see in a video, the one where I announced my now dearly departed podcast. Honestly, I think that video is where my hair looked the best. I kind of want to go back to that length, but I was kind of winging it when I cut my hair and have no idea if I can replicate the look. Plus, my ends aren't really split enough to justify it, so I guess I'm just seeing how long it can get now. Once I started wearing my natural hair, I started getting compliments again. But this time, I didn't mind. This time, I felt like I actually had something to be proud of. People, again, usually black women, would tell me how much they liked my twists and how healthy my hair looked. And when I occasionally got asked if I did my own hair, I could reply with pride that, yes, I did. Hair is not an accomplishment. It grows out of most of our scalps for free and with little intervention. What we do with it, however, can be. For a long time, I was very unfortunately in the it's just hair camp. How could I not be? I had very little say or control over what happened to my own hair. For most of my life, it was just hair. Now, though, it means a lot to me. It connects me to my heritage. It's a form of self-expression. More importantly, it's one way I can actually exercise control over myself in a way that I couldn't previously. Part 5. Brush, cream, gel. These days, I have a mostly decent hair routine. I wash my hair every 3 weeks instead of previously going to a salon once a month or so, which, yeah, I probably should wash it more often, but I'm a modern working lady of the 21st century who still refuses to see a stylist out of spite, so... Also, I've learned that some stylists don't even wash hair anymore, which is interesting. I still only cycle between a few hairstyles, twists, a twist out, or my tried and true twin braids, and I'm perfectly content with it. Sometimes I want to get braids, but then I remember how much they usually cost and how long they take, and I change my pretty little mind very quickly. And unfortunately, I still butt heads with my mom over my hair. Before I went to an in-person interview for my last job, my mom asked me how I was going to do my hair. I told her I was going to wear it in twists, and she made a face. I know she wanted me to straighten my hair, but it wasn't going to happen. I wore my twists, and I got the job, so it kind of didn't matter. In fact, in my in-person interview for my current job, once I was going around and meeting all my soon-to-be coworkers, one of them, another black girl, told me that she remembered my application because not only was my reel stellar, but in my portfolio photo on my website, I had natural hair like she did. And I'm not gonna lie, hearing that was so validating. And I ended up getting that job too, so it still didn't matter. Once big events are coming up, my mom usually asks me how I'm gonna do my hair, but now all she can really do is kick rocks, and I think she's starting to realize it even if just a little. She asked me how I was going to do my hair for my first day of my new job, and I just told her it's just going to look how it looks. In fact, in my official staff photo, my hair is in my 2 braids that she apparently hates. And not only did I not care, but nobody did. My employers have only cared if I did my job, not how my hair looked, much to my mom's surprise, I guess. My mom even went so far as to say, back when I got my first job, that my twists, which I was still perfecting at the time, were messy and unprofessional looking, and eventually insisted on doing them herself. But, and I don't know how much I can emphasize this, it literally did not matter. If the reason for me not getting a job somewhere is because of my hair being in its natural state, why on earth would I want to work there anyway? Quickly. However, one thing I should probably acknowledge is the environment my mom grew up in. My mom grew up in the Mississippi Delta in the 70s and 80s. Around that time, the whole Black is Beautiful, embrace your fro movement was heating up. I do remember seeing pictures of my mom as a teenager with, to my tremendous surprise, an afro, but I also remember seeing more pictures of my mom with straight hair. In fact, she'd often tell me about how on Sundays, my grandmother would corral her and my aunt into the kitchen to straighten their hair with a hot comb, this time the kind that was actually heated up on a stovetop. The pressure to accept and conform to Eurocentric beauty standards wasn't merely a choice for Black women and girls in those times. It was kind of a survival mechanism. My mom, as well as a lot of women on that side of my family, were high yellow gals, as they called them, so my mom likely benefited from colorism and was able to quell texturism by always having her hair straight. Being dark-skinned with nappy hair was simply unacceptable, and let's not kid ourselves, it is still seen as unacceptable by some people. So I suppose my mom was trying to protect me in some way by forcing me to conform to those same beauty standards. It just ended up doing more harm than she probably ever intended. And times are changing. Crown Acts are being passed in some places, and in general, the acceptance of natural hair among the Black community is becoming more prevalent. It's actually okay to have kinky hair these days, and I encourage my fellow skin-melanated and hair-textured sisters, brothers, and siblings to embrace their natural hair texture. It's not something to be ashamed of. Our hair makes us who we are. I could go into the history of Black people's relationship with their hair dating back to slavery times, but this video isn't really a historical piece, and there are probably other YouTubers who have made well-researched videos on the topic, so I suggest you check those out. I wanted to make this video because I've been wanting to make a video on my hair journey for some time now, especially considering that when I started this channel, my hair was straight, and now it is straight no longer. However, recently I realized something. About a month ago, while I was washing my hair, I realized that I had never seen my mom's natural hair texture. In old pictures, yes, but not ever in my 23 years of living. And that made me sad. And I told her as much, but she just kind of shrugged it off. My mom might not care all that much about living in a society that punishes non-white people for simply wearing their hair the way it grows out of their heads, but that doesn't mean I have to be okay with it. And thankfully, lots of people aren't okay with it. Sadly, my story is nowhere near unique. It's very, unfortunately, the lived experience of many Black girls and women in these United States. And if you have such a story to tell, the comments down below are open. I do read all my comments and sometimes I respond, so give it a go. By the way, if you're looking for hair advice or product tips, I'm still very much figuring it out after 2 years, and my favorite products have been very recently discontinued, so perhaps look elsewhere. I haven't mentioned my dad at all in this video, but I feel like I should at least mention that I inherited my 3C hair texture from him. I got the good hair gene from my dad, and my brother got the nappy hair gene from my mom. There's no such thing as bad hair though, and I fiercely reject that label. After all, the hairfluencers have long since shown us that 4C hair, what most would consider nappy, is beautiful. It's not bad, it's not unmanageable or unruly or frizzy or any number of pejoratives that have been applied to Afro-textured hair. It's just that white supremacy has led us to believe that it's something that's not to be desired. Which is false. That's gonna be it for me today. Follow me on Twitter. Read my Medium articles. Like I've mentioned twice now, my podcast is unfortunately mortis, but I may or may not have an announcement soon. So if you don't want to miss that announcement, you should really follow me on Twitter and also subscribe to this here YouTube channel. Now, if you don't mind me, I've got to go oil my twists.